I worked the night shift at a gas station just off a long, empty highway in West Texas. The kind of place where, after midnight, the world feels like it has stopped existing. No streetlights, no buildings for miles, just darkness and the hum of the fluorescent lights above the pumps. Most nights were slow. Sometimes I would go 15 or 20 minutes without seeing a single car pass on the road. You start to notice everything when it's that quiet. That's why I noticed him immediately. It was around 1:40 in the morning. I remember checking the clock because I was bored and counting the minutes until my break. A dark sedan pulled into pump number 3. The car stopped, but no one got out. At first, I didn't think much of it. People sit in their cars all the time, checking their phones, finishing calls, looking for their wallet. But after a minute, then 2, then 5, he was still sitting there. From inside the store, through the glass, I could see the side of his face lit faintly by the overhead lights. He wasn't on his phone, wasn't moving, wasn't looking down. He was staring straight ahead, toward the store. I felt awkward just watching, so I stepped outside and gave a small wave asking if he needed help. He didn't react, didn't nod, didn't blink, nothing. Just sat there, eyes forward. I stood there for a few seconds feeling stupid, then went back inside. About 30 seconds later, the car slowly reversed and drove away. He never pumped gas, never said a word. I figured it was just some tired traveler who changed his mind. But the next night, at almost the exact same time, he came back. Same car, same pump. And again, he didn't get out. This time, I didn't go outside. I stayed behind the counter and watched through the window. He sat there for almost 6 minutes, just staring, then drove off. That's when it started to feel strange. By the third night, I was actually waiting to see if he'd show up again. And he did. I started to feel annoyed more than anything, like he was messing with me. But the fourth night is when everything changed. When he pulled in, I wasn't behind the counter like usual. I had just come back from the restroom in the back of the store, so I was standing in the aisle behind the register, not directly in front of it. From that angle, I could see him more clearly through the glass. And I noticed something I hadn't before. He wasn't looking at the store entrance. He was looking slightly to the left, toward the exact spot where I usually stood behind the counter. I froze, because from where he was parked, that area shouldn't have been clearly visible, but his head was angled precisely toward that position, like he knew, like he was expecting me to be standing there. I slowly took a step to the right, out of that line, and I swear his head adjusted slightly, still aimed at that same invisible point. A cold feeling ran through my chest. I stayed in that aisle for almost 10 minutes watching him. Then for the first time, he opened his car door, but he didn't step out. He just opened it halfway, paused, and closed it again. A few seconds later, he drove away. I told my manager the next morning. He laughed it off and said it was probably some guy messing around, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't random. The fifth night, he didn't show up, and I actually felt relieved, until near the end of my shift. Around 5:50 a.m., I took the trash out to the dumpster behind the building. It was still dark outside, that deep early morning darkness before sunrise. That's when I saw something in the dirt. Tire marks, behind the building, facing the store. There were no cameras back there. Someone had been parked in that spot long enough to leave clear impressions in the soil. And from that angle, you could see directly through the side windows of the store. You could see the aisle behind the counter, the exact spot where I usually stood. My stomach dropped, because for the first time, I realized something. He hadn't been coming to the gas station to watch the store. He had been coming to learn where I stood every night. And when I wasn't there, he parked behind the building instead. I locked the doors early. For the rest of the shift, I couldn't stop looking at the side windows, feeling like I was being watched from the darkness outside. He never came back after that. But sometimes, during the quietest part of the night shift, I still catch myself glancing at pump number 3, expecting to see that car sitting there, waiting.
At some point during the night shift, you stop trusting silence. Because silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It just means whatever is happening doesn't want you to hear it. This happened to me at 3:20 a.m., alone, working the night shift at a gas station off the highway in Amarillo. And after that night, I stopped using the employee bathroom. Night shifts are predictable. Truckers come in for coffee, teenagers stop for energy drinks. Then, around 3 in the morning, nothing. No cars, no footsteps, just the hum of fluorescent lights and the buzzing soda cooler behind the counter. That night was quiet. I was behind the register scrolling on my phone when I heard it. A bathroom door closing. Just click. The sound came from the employee bathroom in the back hallway, the one that stays locked, the one only I have the key to. I froze. I knew no one had walked past me. I hadn't unlocked that door all night. Still, I told myself it was nothing. Air pressure, old hinges. I walked down the hallway anyway. The door was shut. Locked. I put the key in and turned it. Before I could open it, the door pushed back. Not hard, just enough resistance to stop it, like someone was standing on the other side, hand pressed against the wood. I said, "Hello?" No answer. I pushed harder. The resistance stayed. Then suddenly, it was gone. The door swung open. The bathroom was empty. I checked everywhere, behind the door, inside the stall, under the sink. Nothing. No footprints, no open window, no sound. I locked the door again and laughed to myself, that nervous kind of laugh you do when your brain is trying to protect you. I went back to the counter. That's when I looked at the security monitor. The screen showed the back hallway. The employee bathroom door was visible. I watched it. At 3:27 a.m., the handle moved. The door opened an inch, then closed. On the monitor, the door didn't close all the way, and inside the dark bathroom, the camera picked up something it shouldn't have. A shadow, tall, still, standing where the sink should be. I leaned closer to the screen. The shadow didn't move. I grabbed the flashlight from under the counter and walked down the hallway anyway. Every step felt too loud. I unlocked the bathroom door again, opened it. The light flicked on. Empty. Exactly like before. I locked the door and ran back to the counter. The monitor was still on. The bathroom door was still shut. But on the screen, the shadow was still there, standing. I didn't check again. I stayed behind the counter until sunrise. The bathroom door never moved again. But sometimes, when it's quiet, I still hear it. That soft little click, like someone going in and not coming out.
Working the night shift at a hotel teaches you something fast. Most people don't realize how alive a building is after midnight. Pipes knock. Elevators move on their own schedule. Phones ring when no one is there to answer. So when the front desk phone rang at 1:40 a.m., I didn't think much of it, until I saw where the call was coming from. I worked nights at a small hotel in Spokane, Washington, 3 floors, old carpet, the kind of place where you recognize repeat guests by their footsteps. That night was slow. No check-ins after midnight, no late arrivals, just me, the lobby lights, and the soft buzz of the security monitors. The phone rang. I answered. "Front desk." There was a pause. Then a low voice said, "Can we get some extra towels?" The call display flashed a room number, 214. I pulled up the system while still holding the phone. Room 214. Vacant. Checked out earlier that afternoon. Cleaned. Marked empty. I waited for the voice to say something else. Nothing. I finally said, "Sir, I'm showing that room as unoccupied." Another pause. Then the line went dead. No click, no hang-up tone, just silence. I told myself it was a system glitch. Maybe someone dialed wrong. Maybe housekeeping hadn't updated something. I logged it and moved on. About 10 minutes later, the motion sensor alert chimed on the monitor. Second floor hallway. Then again, and again. I looked up at the camera feed. The hallway was empty. No guests, no staff. Except the door to room 214 was slightly open. I was sure it had been closed earlier. I zoomed in. The door didn't move, but the motion sensor kept triggering, like something was pacing just out of view. I grabbed the master key and headed upstairs. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. I stood outside room 214 for a moment, listening. Nothing. I pushed the door open. The room was spotless. No luggage, clothes, or sign anyone had been staying there. But the bathroom caught my attention. The floor was damp. The shower curtain was pushed aside. The mirror was fogged, like someone had just finished washing up. The bed was unmade, like someone had sat there for a moment. I stood there longer than I should have. Then I closed the door and locked it. When I got back to the lobby, the phone was ringing again. I already knew. I still checked the display. Room 214. I didn't answer this time. I just watched it ring. After the fifth ring, it stopped. The system updated automatically. Room status changed from vacant to occupied. Housekeeping found nothing the next morning. Room 214 stayed blocked in the system after that, and every once in a while during the night shift, the phone still rings, but no one ever answers it anymore. When you work night security, you get used to strange noises. Metal stretches, concrete settles. Old places breathe differently after midnight. So when I first heard the knocking, I didn't panic. Because at first, it sounded like the building doing exactly what it was supposed to do. I was 24, working overnight security at an industrial warehouse in Ohio. No staff or deliveries, just long aisles, steel beams, and lights that never fully stopped humming. My job was simple. Clock in, do rounds every hour, log anything unusual. And every single night, without fail, at 2:17 a.m., I heard it. 3 metallic knocks, coming from the floor. It always came from the same spot, near the back loading zone, where the concrete was thicker and the lights flickered just a little longer than everywhere else. The sound wasn't loud. It was dull and heavy, like metal tapping metal through layers of concrete. I blamed pipes, temperature changes, old construction. Ohio winters are brutal. Buildings complain. So I logged it as structural noise and kept walking. Every night, 2:17 a.m., 3 knocks. Always the same rhythm. After a few weeks, curiosity got to me. That night, I stopped when I reached the spot. The warehouse was completely silent. I waited. 2:17 a.m. The knocks came again. I looked down at the concrete, and without really thinking about it, I knocked back. 3 taps, using my flashlight. There was no delay, no echo. Immediately, 3 knocks came back. Same rhythm, same spacing, perfectly matched. I didn't move. I just stood there staring at the floor, knowing with absolute certainty whatever was under me had been waiting for that. I didn't knock again. I walked away, slowly, finished my shift without logging a word. The next morning, I asked the site manager for the building plans. I wanted to see the pipes, the supports, something, anything. There was nothing under that section of floor, just compacted earth. Then I noticed a note attached to the original land survey. Before the warehouse was built, the land had been a rural cemetery, relocated in the 1950s. Most graves moved. I don't work there anymore. But sometimes, when I check the time at night and see 2:17 a.m., I wonder what would have happened if I'd knocked a 4th time.